Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis. Today, very grateful to be joined by Emery Robichaud again. He has been on for like 2 years. So if you're new to this show, his story and some financial stuff back then is will be in the show notes. Click on that link and you can learn more about who Emery is, where he's been, what he's done now, mistakes he's made. He shared his whole story, and as he said off air, he was real nervous and all the things. So really awesome chat that one actually. And if, for those that don't know Emery, he's a financial strategist, title given to him by his beautiful wife, Andrea. Shout out to her. She's awesome. Part of Jason's team. If you don't know who Jason is, just go back to the backlog of podcasts and you'll find out. So, Emery, the show today is all about the financial, don't want to say crisis, the financial re-evaluation, we'll call it. Financial re-evaluation going on in the world today. So, Emery's on here to talk about all the things for people out there to navigate their way through the next, I reckon, few years. So, Emery, welcome to the show, mate. Happy to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Like you said, it's been almost 2 years, so we've gone full circle. We'll try this out again, and hopefully we can get some good information out and help some people for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So where we'll probably go first is, mate, there's a lot going on right now financially for people. You got gold and silver skyrocketing, not really plummeting, but sort of back and forth. You got stock market chaos. You got all this stuff going on. And as you said off air, people are coming off the Christmas New Year period. Where can what for anyone out there listening, what can people sort of start to think about? There's a question.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, we talked about off air, like everything's, the whole world's falling apart, it seems, right? Like the stock market, the gold market, the silver market, copper, like all metals, industrial metals, and precious metals and semi-precious, they're all going parabolic right now. And depending on who you listen to, you're going to get like a field of what people feel is happening. Some people think it's a war narrative, and some people think it's a destabilization of the U.S. dollars. Some people say it's China. Some people say it's Russia. And everyone has their kind of narrative. I ultimately feel that this is just like the final stages. I'm a Ray Dalio follower in how he sees the world. Ray Dalio, for anybody that doesn't know, is a multi-billionaire. He runs the largest hedge fund company in the world, Blackstone. He's in all the rooms. If it's an IMF meeting or a BIS or the Federal Reserve or any of these huge institutions that deal with monetary policy, he's in those rooms with them. He very much believes that we're in the last stages of the U.S. supremacy as far as reserve currency goes. And then there's, steps that happen. I'm kind of in that field as well. Like that's my belief system, that we're kind of at this end stage of where the dollars we use and the way we look at money and the way we look at finances and international currencies and all those kinds of things is really going to change rapidly. And in that, there's always lots of turmoil. And coming off Christmas, we were talking about how January and February, people are just trying to catch back up on what they spent, the months before. When you look at the statistics, I think it's like 78% of North Americans are literally living paycheck to paycheck. And I think it's like 65 to 70% of credit cards are maxed out. So people are using credit to pay credit and all these things. So January and February are really slow months for finances. And that's when you see the institutions are taking advantage. And that's why we're getting these big swings in commodity pricings and stock pricings, because they're taking advantage of the fact that prices are low. People sold things to buy Christmas gifts, and people are selling stuff to pay off debt and these kinds of things. So prices are like you say, pulling back, artificially suppressed or artificially manipulated, whatever it happens to be. But they're getting bought up fast. Gold and silver this week was just insane.
Yeah.
Anybody that follows that, the moves this month is usually what happens in 2 or 3 years in those markets. So this had so much movement this month alone. Insane. January, I think silver had a 19% gain on the month, even though it had a 35% pullback on the last day of the month.
It did, yeah.
Pulled back 35%, which is the largest single day pullback in history. People following silver markets, but it's still up 19% on the month. Like it's absolutely insane how much this is moving. And gold broke into new all time highs, 5,600 US. Last year, I think in the summer it was 3,800 or something. Like it's really, things are moving quickly, and the
They are.
majority of people are sleeping right
Yep.
now. Like I said, they're still in a coma from Christmas and trying to get up, lick their wounds from the credit card bills and that kind of stuff, and the financial world's rolling along pretty steadily.
Yeah, it is. And I was just going to ask you, for someone out there listening, and watching, why is this happening? Like, why is there a big spike in gold and silver all of a sudden, and then there's the pullback? Why is this happening?
So again, that depending on who you follow and their mindset, there's different
Yeah,
belief systems. I think it's if you look at the commercial banks versus the central banks. So for the last 50 years, the largest sellers, net sellers of gold, were central banks. So
yep,
your Bank of America, or your the Federal Reserve, Bank of England, Bank of Japan, Aussie Central Bank, like all these, they were the biggest sellers of gold. But for the last 4 years, they've been the biggest net purchasers of gold.
huh?
Where you have commercial banks, so your JP Morgan, HSBC, like these kinds of things, PWS, I think it's PWC in Australia, these
Yep,
different, commercial banks are paper heavy. They don't own
mm,
physical. They own promissory notes, futures contracts, but they go short a lot because they always expect the markets to get dumped on. So I think what just happened this month is you have central banks versus commercial banks. And the central banks are buying up the gold because they print the money,
mm,
and then they're using that paper currency to buy physical gold back up, whatever's coming down the road. And the commercial banks don't have that option. They use our dollars in the bank as collateral and leverage to do what they do for business, but they bet on the markets going down. So I think what we saw here was the gold price and the silver price was running so fast that JP Morgan, HSBC, they were billions of dollars in the red because they're
yeah,
losing on their shorts. So you have a quick flush, they sell a lot of paper that never existed. Markets come down really fast, then they're able to offload a bunch of their shorts as fast as they could. Funny enough, I made a post about that on Facebook today that JP Morgan sold 3.17 million contracts, short contracts of silver at the exact bottom of $75, and then it bounced back up.
huh?
So people are like, people try to say it's not manipulated. I'm like, it's extremely manipulated. They
Yeah,
can't manipulate it down forever, but they could get it to a certain point where they can offload all the crappy debts they're carrying, and then now they're like, okay, now we're to even let this market run because now net long. It's very interesting actually. So I think it was just a manipulated leverage push down so that they can offload some bad debt,
yeah, that makes
take on
sense.
some good longs, and then let it run. But again, if you listen to people who are more in like the war narrative for metals that hedge against war, they think
Mm,
it's because there was a push for that Iran movement last week, and then there was a pullback in rhetoric. So they're like, oh, it was just that kind of up and down dip, and now the markets are going to keep retracing. I think we're probably going to see a bounce back up this week, but time will tell.
mm,
Ultimately, I'm in metals for a whole different reason than war narratives or collapsing of the dollars, right? Like I'm in it. I look at metals as my savings account,
yeah,
right?
same.
So yeah, exactly. It's like if I left my money in the bank 6 years ago when I got into metals, it would have the same nominal value. It would have the same amount of zeros on it, but I've lost about 40% of the purchasing power in
Correct.
5 years, right? It's like no, I moved that into metals, and now they've gone up 3 or 4 times whatever I
Yeah,
paid for them. So it's like yeah, this is a savings. This is a diminishing asset, cash. So it's like I'll just I get it in that way. I look at my metals as my savings account long
yeah.
term. So if it goes up 40%, great. Drops 10, whatever. It's still leaving it in dollars in my bank account. So
And that's the good segue into what I was going to ask you next too, mate. Was there's a lot of young people. As I was telling you off air about a bit about my story, which I might,
mhm.
I'll probably end up talking about anyway. That a lot of young people have, they've worked with their parents or lived with their parents from like, start working at 16, 17, maybe earlier, and have all this money saved up. And, obviously they'll ask their parents, oh, what should I do with it? I'll go see an accountant. Like that's the advice out there, go see the accountant. And the accountant's probably saying just keep the money in the bank. Like, what would be your
Mhm.
advice to that person that is a bit open minded and doesn't necessarily trust that advice? I know for me personally, I did the gold and silver thing. I took my super out and managed it myself and put it in gold and silver, and it was the best thing that I ever did. For those listening and watching, for me, it's chalk and cheese. Like if I, as you said, kept that in the bank and chirping fees, all the things, it's just money sitting there that's just getting pretty much depleted. So, what would be your advice for someone out there that's a bit younger?
Yeah. So the very first thing, and it's the hardest thing for people to wrap their head around, is that cash isn't money.
Mm,
Cash is currency, and it's built in inflation.
Correct.
Minimum 4% a year. So you're at a very minimum going to lose 4% of that purchasing power every single year over year, consistently for all of time. That's the built mechanism. So, I think it's Kiyosaki is
He's Ripper.
famous for saying, he'll say, a savings account is really a losing account, right? And it's true because the inflation is just eating away those dollars. And then you have fees on top of that, service fees to eat away your dollars. And the bank is actually using your money and leveraging it and trading it and lending it out and making a percentage, and they pay you pittance, right? They're making 2, 3, 4, 5%, 10%. They're paying you a quarter of a percent. You're basically giving them a free loan. It's so crazy. But yeah, if you talk to a traditional financial advisor, they're going to give you the spiel. It's like 60-40 split.
Yes.
60% stocks, 40% bonds. And within that bond portfolio, there'll be some CDs and some, short-term, long-term bonds. And within that 60% of the stock market, you'll have maybe you have a little bit of mining, but it's going to be mostly tech and AI and, some Coca-Cola maybe and some other stuff like that. But it's like your own portfolio you look at is like if you had left it in the bank under its regular retirement portfolio, or the Supra is what you call it.
Superannuation, yeah, it's the Australian term.
Yes. So it's like you'd be up 10, maybe 15% over the last 5 years, which in retirement terms is amazing because you're going to compound it over years, and 30, 40 years later, it's like, yeah, I'm up 500%. That's great. But you put it in metals, manage it yourself, and you're like, I'm up 400% in, 4 years when if I left it with
Correct.
them. It's just so crazy, right?
Yep.
But ultimately, it's like, yeah, the very first thing people have to do is like change their thinking on what money is and what money does,
Yes.
and know that the financial structure is designed to steal your money.
Mm. Wow.
Inflation
Yeah.
is just an invisible tax, right? And those financiers and the people who work at the bank and the people who work at the retirement funds and that stuff, their job is to make sure that you keep your money in the system. They want your money in the system so they can do whatever they want with it. So that's the biggest hurdle for people, to just stop thinking about cash as money, because gold is money. Everything else is debt. That's a JP Morgan 18 something quote. And ultimately, if you're controlling your funds, then the responsibility is on you.
Yep.
If I just give some random guy at the bank my funds to say invest this on my behalf, I'm trusting that he knows what he's talking about, first of all.
Yeah.
But really, he has a screen that he's allowed to invest in this part, only in these things. That's it. Maybe he can dabble 10% here and there, but there's a screen that he's only allowed to invest your money in. And it's not for the betterment of you, it's for the betterment of whoever he's working for. Like, it's all their stuff in the end, right? So it's like, it's just this weird, sick cycle of money that, again, is ultimately designed to take it away from you and give it to the system to keep the system kind of lubricated and doing its thing. You talk about how, kids are saving and they're working, and off air we talked about how, people will, when they turn 21, they're like, hey, I'm going to go on vacation. And Aussies, you go through Asia or something, you're doing one of those treks, and you do your trip and you drop 6-7 grand or whatever it is, and you
That's what
spend
I
all the money
did.
you've been saving for the last yeah, exactly, right? And you're like, well, I'm young and I got my experience and I do it again. Or you go to school and you drop 100 grand, whatever happens to be, right?
Yep.
But and there's nothing wrong with that. Life is about having experiences and enjoying these things, and no one sits on their deathbed thinking, I wish I worked more. Of course not.
Exactly.
However, if you can have your money that you work so hard for work for you and hold off that vacation for 1 year, well, now just the money that's been making you is going to pay for that vacation, right? It's like trying to get your money to work for you, even at a young age, is the key, the goal. And like your parents will tell you, invest it long term. This is how you do it because you want to have a nice retirement. But like, life's not guaranteed, right? This is the thing too. And I'm not a YOLO type of person, live but I definitely am very specific with how I spend my money, because I always want to have a certain amount of value on hand that's making value. Like, the goal everyone always says is they want to have, oh my goodness, I can't remember what it's called. Income, like when I have to work for it, I can't think of the term. It's such a silly term.
Yeah.
It'll come to me eventually.
Yeah.
But the point is like, if you have enough savings, it doesn't have to be a lot. Like, that can do that for you compounded in a very short amount of time. Like, even yourself, a couple of years, and you're like, oh, I made 400%. 400% is huge. In the financial world, my God, if someone's like, I made you 400% in the last 4 years, that guy would be getting raises and bonuses and just like crazy amounts of stuff. But you're doing it yourself. You're like, oh, I'm getting all the bonuses, and there's no fees associated with it either. No one's taking 30% off the top, right? So,
No.
But yeah, it's like you're young, you want to have fun, but if you can hold that fun off for 6 months or a year and use all that cash you've been saving and investing it, well, that investable return will pay for that trip now, and you still have that 7 grand, 8 grand, whatever it is, sitting there. But you got to go on your trip anyways. Like it's, yeah, definitely trying to change the mindset of how you look at money and or currency, I should say, because it's not really money, but and having it work for you. But
Yes. And a good resource for people to start learning about that. You mentioned his name earlier, that Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. That sort of was the start of my shift yeah, having money work for you rather than
passive income.
that's it. I was about to say it too.
That's
Yeah.
so funny.
Because he said, like, yeah, like he just, it was an awesome book. And any young person, any person out there that has that open mind of wanting to take care of things, that's a good place to start. So,
Yeah, I mean, again, everybody's going to have their point of view, and I have my viewpoint on Kiyosaki personally, but that's
yeah,
neither here nor
same.
there.
It's just the information in the book, though.
But yeah, exactly. That's exactly it, right? So it's like
Yeah,
you can use the information regardless of who's handing it out, and that's what I
correct.
like to do. Is that's why I scour. This is the beauty of where we live right now. It's like we have this internet with infinite access to everything that's available to mankind, information wise.
That's
You
true.
just need to know how to gauge it, like what's good and what's not, and then how to access it. And you know, you just got to filter through. People are willing to take the time to go through a few resources and kind of filter out, you know, the overtop hype or the super fear narratives or any of that kind of stuff. And just, I always find like if you listen to realty people, realty is the place you want to be. If you listen to gold people, gold's where you want to be. If you want to listen to stock people, stock's where you want to be, because these are their wheelhouses, it's their specialties. They believe it's the end all be all, and everything else is stupid. I listen to the realty guys and the gold guys and the silver guys and the bond guys and the crypto guys. And I listen to them all. And within there, I'm like, okay, I can see this little silver lining that's being thread through all of their information. I'm like, okay, I can see how this can work in these areas, and I'll invest accordingly like this. But I'd never be all in on one asset across the board, right? And taking the time to be able to like take in content and filter through the content and figure out like, you know, what's quality and what's kind of crap, right? And so another thing is like, you know, we live in the world with just infinite information, but we live in a whole different world in the last couple of years where it's infinite influencers that's their whole livelihood, is just putting out content. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad or straight up lies or fraudulent. It doesn't, they just need content, right? So it's like taking time, filtering out all the BS, and getting through the nitty gritty. And some of it's super mundane and super boring. It's like reading, you know, basically you're listening to someone read a textbook. You're like, okay, this is awful. But, you know, in there's going to be some great pieces of information. You're like, okay, that's a tidbit I'm going to keep forever. And maybe I could apply it somewhere else down the road, especially when it comes to finances. There's
Yep.
so many really smart people in this world who really know what they're talking about. And, you know, like I said, Ray Dalio, it's the man basically rewrote how we look at well, investing for the most part, structures and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, he's really sound. He really knows what he's talking about. You know, I'm sure he's part of the machine and he's doing his bit there along the way. Blackstone, you know, they're buying up houses and stuff like that for a reason. But ultimately, it's like I watch these people, I listen to these people, and try to get past whatever their mainstream narrative portion is, and find that silver line. It's like, ooh, there's a good nugget. I'll keep in the back of my brain and use that one. But
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even with like the awakened community, like they won't listen to people like that because, oh no, he's just a Freemason or he's part of the cult, whatever. It's like, well, you know, so what? Like the information that they're sharing,
yeah,
just sift through what they're doing outside of that and just go, well, the information that's being put out here, as you said, it's liquid gold.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And that's the thing too. It's like, and when it comes to like my crypto investments, you know, I'll talk to a new client, and their first question is, well, don't you feel like you're feeding the beast, or don't you feel like you're ushering in this whole thing? And I'm like, it's just technology. Like, this is exactly how people talked in the 1890s. You know, when the Industrial Revolution was happening. It's like, oh, we're doing this whole thing, and all those people are going to be out of jobs. It's like, well, 10 million horses lost their jobs. And people who bred horses and people who raised horses and people, yeah, they lost their jobs. But the Industrial Revolution created a whole other industry, manufacturing and production and all stuff, where millions and millions of people got jobs, right? So it's like, and same thing when the internet came out in the 90s and early 2000s, people were panicking, oh, it's going to take all our jobs, it's going to do this, do that. It's like, yeah, a few industries lost, you know, 10 or 15% of their of the employment load, but then this huge other industry that's created. It creates millions and millions of jobs, and people are fearing, AI, and they're fearing whatever because it's like evil, and there's always evil people. I'm like, it's just technology, and like you can use it to your advantage to make yourself, like a better employer, a better entrepreneur, or just a better investor, whatever it happens to be. And yeah, these people are, some of them are going to be 33-degree Masons, and some of them are going to be Satanists, and some of them are going to be this, and some of them are going to be that. But it's like you say, look past that portion of their personality. What they're saying is truth. This is a truth nugget they're telling you. And maybe his whole role is to just give people that truth nugget. And those with eyes will see it, and those with ears can hear it. And the rest are just going to be like, la, 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 he's a bad person. It's like, okay, well, you know, he was a bad person, but his role was to give you that one piece of information, and you just threw it aside because of whatever his affiliation is. Yeah, exactly, right? And again, it's so funny because I very much believe, and the people that rule this world are probably not very good people. But if they're as bad as I believe they could be, and they believe the things I think they do, because I don't have any proof of any of these things, I'm just, assuming, like a lot of people. I've never been to one of these meetings. I've never seen these rituals or anything, right? Like, I've only read about them, so it's like, okay. If they go that, their whole belief system is that they have to tell you what they're going to do.
Correct.
Right? So I'm like, so they're going to tell you all these truths, mixed in with some lies, and mixed in with some fear, and mixed in whatever, but there's truths all through there. And if you can just pick those truths out and like, okay, now I'm going to avoid that one. Okay, I'm going to use that one. But they just, I just feel like a lot of people, like you say, especially the truther community, are just very quick to shut out anything that has the name Gates in it, or anything that has the name BlackRock in it, or anything that has, yes, I think these people are probably going to do some really bad things, or are trying to do really bad things, but ultimately they're telling you what they're going to do. And it gives you an opportunity to either step aside, let train go flying by, or you're like, no, I want to catch this train, actually. This is one that I want to get jumping on. So it's just,
100%.
it's, I think your audience is probably much younger than my general clientele. So they're a little more open to receiving information as it comes at them. They haven't had decades and decades of belief systems built into them that they have. There's not as many walls to break down. So they're at an extreme advantage over anybody that's over 40 like myself. They don't have to break down all these walls of just belief that's been ingrained in them over years, whether it's financially or religious or whatever it happens to be. They can just see the information for what it is, or at least they should have an easier time of seeing the information for what it is face value, and being like, okay, yeah, that resonates and it sounds like something decent. I can probably make money on that, or whatever it happens to be. As opposed to people, as they get older, it's a little bit more difficult to not get your back up when something, just doesn't, rubs you the wrong way right away. You're like, I don't even know why it's bugging me, but it's just bugging me because it's ingrained in 40-something years or 50-something years or 60-something years of belief system, right? So
Yeah, 100%. And that's the next thing I was going to get to as well, is like having that open mind to even just something like what you just said. It's about actually just doing that work on yourself, so that you just, that's what you said it beautifully, but I was just going to go somewhere else with this too. A lot of a lot of people will talk about, oh, it's just all going to collapse anyway. Like, we spoke about it in the last chat. Yes, this is designed to collapse, but we've been talking about it I've only come into it since 2020, but like people have been talking about this for a very, very long time.
yeah.
And a lot of people will probably hit the comments and be like, well, is this collapsing? So, Emery, is this going to collapse at some point? What is going on?
Well, yeah, but this is the thing. Every system has to collapse for the new system to come in.
And what is the new system?
Who knows? We're going to find out. What do I think? I think we're coming into a new financial system.
I think we are too.
Ultimately, I think a lot of the stuff that we see, the war narratives and the AI narratives, it's more distraction than anything else.
Yeah.
Look over here, scary, shiny, whatever it happens to be, Epstein file, all this stuff. I'm not saying it's true or not true, but it's just this to keep public vision over here. Meanwhile, they're just changing the financial system over here, which sounds like, oh, that's a really big deal, or it's not a really big deal. Well, it's a really big deal if suddenly how you use money completely changes, or if a currency you've been using in your sovereign country suddenly changes completely to something else, which happens all of the time. It just doesn't happen in Australia very often, doesn't happen in Canada very often, it hasn't happened in the States for 150 years. But these things happen.
That is
And
true.
then, and I think we're living in this time where it's going to happen everywhere soon. And whether it's some big, huge climatic thing, or it's just a hush under the under the rug kind of thing, and one day we wake up and we're like, oh, we have different currency, and why is my bank account lost to zero? Oh, well, the new currency actually has value compared to the old one, so we had to give everybody 1 0 less in their bank account. You know what I mean? Like that literally could happen, and that's happened in a lot of countries.
Mm.
But it's really hard for people to live in Western civilization, to comprehend that. Ultimately, I believe that we're just coming kind of to like it's a hard fork. I had this conversation with my wife tonight, actually.
Mm.
We're coming to a hard fork in the road. And if we look at the demographics, technology doubles every second right now. That's how
Yep.
fast technology. But they can only spoon feed us so much at a time.
Mm.
There's hundreds of years of technology. The way they drip it out now, it would take hundreds of years for them to feed us everything that they want to give us. So I'm like, I think they've been holding back essentially civilization until the boomer population is no longer the voting majority. I
Yeah.
genuinely believe that.
Yeah.
Once the boomers are no longer the voting majority, now you have to appease the 20 and 30-year-olds, not the 70-plus-year-olds that have all the wealth, because now they don't make up much of the voting population, even though I think voting and all stuff's a fraud, but they still run these systems.
Mm.
If everyone just decided they're not going to do anything and take all my wealth out of everything, the whole system goes down. So you have to keep
That
people happy to keep the wheels moving, right? So
that's it.
I really believe they're holding back the system as long as they can. As the boomers start to die off, they're like, okay, now we can let it go. I think in the 2 years from now, it's going to be like a quantum leap forward. It's going to seem like we were using rotary phones and all of a sudden we just got iPhones. Like it's going to be that quick of a leap, but we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
But it's going to be the financial system. And this is the thing too about the financial systems. The majority of people don't even realize how it works, which
Yes,
is
let's
great
go there
because
too. Yep.
it doesn't matter how it works, but it's like ultimately, okay, so I had this phone call, I chat with somebody, and we're talking, and they were, pushing me about the whole CBDC systems and these kinds of things, and am I helping usher it in? I'm like, well, less than 7% of transactions are done in cash. 90% of all transactions in the entire globe are done by tap or debit or PayPal or whatever. It's already in a digital world. But because with the boomer population, which, I'm not there, but it's like I pay cash for everything, by the way. But anyways, it's like you can't just take that away from them. They just be floundering loss. So it's like you have to keep the illusion that cash is king and all this stuff like that.
It's true.
Even though it loses 4% of its purchase power every year. But that being said, I feel like we're at this pinnacle where the financial system is old, outdated, slow, sluggish. It's expensive to run. It just billions and billions and billions of trapped capital all around the world. This is how the banking system works.
Mm.
If they could update that to blockchain technology, which is basically the underlying technology for cryptocurrencies, you suddenly take away all those billions of dollars of trapped capital, which means that they can now reinvest all those billions of dollars that are just sitting around, which just allows the system to move more efficiently. You can instantly do payments 3 seconds instead of a week. This is all trapped capital just sitting around. Now you can update the system so stock market, for example, trades 24/7, 365 instead of closing at 4 o'clock and closed on weekends. The reason these things close is because at the end of the day, people literally sit at computer terminals and trying to make sure all the numbers match up.
That's
And they
true.
close on the weekend because they're like, okay, we got to make sure everything matches up. That's why you'll notice, like, okay, close on Friday, gold will be whatever, or some stock will be whatever. And on Monday, it's a little bit off. It's different. Like, oh, it went down or went up. It's like, well, no, because when they finally balanced all the numbers over the weekend, they realized there was a mismatch. So the price was either higher or lower, and that's the actual price. So people who are in the know make that arbitrage, make money, the people in the banking system. But you and I are like, oh, I just lost 2% or I gained 2%. I don't know what's happening, but hey, I feel richer. Cryptocurrency, the updating financial system, will allow all of that to trade instantaneously. 365. So now instead of having $100 trillion stock market, you've got a $350 trillion market for stocks because they're trading all the time, so much fast. I mean, the infrastructure that's coming for cryptocurrency, for the financial system that we live in right now, is going to revolutionize how money moves, how stocks are traded, how mortgages are handled, how everything in this world works. It's going to be updated so rapidly. And I feel like they've been holding it back as long as they can, and I feel like they're like, okay, we have to start letting it go and let it slide. And I kind of feel like we're in that
Yep.
in those moments, and that's when we see like gold starting to run, silver starting to run. People can see the system itself is not functioning anymore. It's not functioning properly. If you listen to anybody that's worth their weight in salt, I guess is the saying, the system in 2008.
Yep.
We're not living in a real financial system anymore. It's all fake, and they've just been for the last 15 years spinning their wheels, or more than that now, but spinning their wheels and trying to just keep the illusion going while they try to update the system on the underside. I feel like we're like right there, super close to that switch over. Metals, cryptocurrency, blockchain, that stuff is going to play a significant role. And ultimately, AI will play its role and do whatever. But I think AI is like the shiny thing that everybody's paying attention to, and no one's paying attention to the actual like infrastructure underneath that.
A lot of
Yeah.
people, even in the truther community, will say too, Emery, that oh, it's all about control. It's all control. You'll have your social credits and all those things. You might be able to access these funds. Like there'll be some questions about that too. So, what do you see? Do you see it being for good, or do you see it being for bad? Where do you sit on the
Yeah.
scale?
Yeah. So I just look at it as neutral technology.
Yep.
Period. It's just neutral technology. I could use the internet to search up a recipe, or I can look at people being murdered. Like I can, you know what I mean? It's like, what are you going to use the internet for? I could program a bunch of stuff and hack somebody's terminals at the airport, or I could use it to like produce art. So it's just technology ultimately. So really, it's like who's handling it on that top end, who's pulling the strings, right? And I think if we look at, I mean, I talk about this in my weekly newsletter often, but I did a big deep dive on this. If we look at the existing system, and we'll call them the old guards,
Yep.
Pope, the Queen, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, like these old families that have been around for a really long time, and they've been kind of controlling everything forever. The Family of 13, the Group of 30, like there's a whole bunch of different organizations. When you start to really research these families and the properties they own and all their wealth, there's a lot going on where it's like most of their properties are up for sale.
Huh?
Most of their stuff is being seized. And so I'm like, is there like a switch happening? Like the old guards being completely pushed away and we're having a whole new system come in and like, yeah, you've had your fun, you've ruined this for 220 years, you're on your own now. Like we're going to just, like, I don't know. I don't believe there's like, the white hats coming in to save us. But ultimately it's like, if it was all evil, they would have steamrolled us a long time ago. So clearly there's
Something
equal
going on.
strength. Yeah, clearly there's
Yeah.
obviously something, right? But I do find it interesting when you look up this stuff and it's like, oh, the Rothschilds' family wealth is like disappearing rapidly. It's like, why?
Yeah.
I don't have a definitive answer for that, but it's like, but when it comes back to crypto, yes, technically, you could program a cryptocurrency to house carbon credits or house a CBDC or do whatever, but like there was a rally in Canada 3 years ago now, or 4 years ago. They seized people's bank accounts that showed up. One click of a button, tens of thousands of people lost access to their bank accounts. That's with the blockchain technology or cryptocurrency. That's just the banks and the governments working together saying, okay, we're going to do this. And then, like we already live in that system. It's just, we have, I call it like the illusion. We have the illusion that I can go to the bank at any minute and be like, that's it, I'm taking my cash out of here. And I'm going to take this wad of cash and I'm just going to be free and
Yeah.
go to the bank right now and try and take out more than $4,000 or $5,000 in one go.
Exactly. This is a good point.
Yeah, like it's not going to happen. They'll be like,
No,
what are
they
you using
can't
it
give
for?
it to you.
No, and they have to approve it. Like you could demand it all you want. They have to approve it.
Correct.
And that teller, just it doesn't even have to go up past the teller. The teller can just say no.
Yep.
And they have the perfect legal right to do that now. I'm like, people are really disillusioned with how much freedom they think they have in this world as it stands right now. And I'm like, blockchain could be used to really, we'll say, lock that down even more. Yes, you could make programmable CBDC dollars, but that doesn't mean you have to use programmable CBDC dollars. If I'm holding cryptocurrency, and again, there's more than 30 million different cryptocurrencies. If I'm holding a cryptocurrency on my own digital wallet, unless I lose access to the internet itself, that's my money. It's not in the system. I could give it to you as a payment and you can give me some service or give me a product as long as you agree to use this crypto, right? It's the same thing with cash. It's like if I have cash in my hand, I can give it to you and no one needs to know about anything, and we trade service for service or whatever it happens to be. But cash is controlled. It's depreciates 4% minimum per year, year over year, built-in inflation. Like, I feel like cash is king is one of the biggest psyops there's ever been. People really believe that cash has value. I don't want a cryptocurrency because it takes cash away. Like, cash, pardon my language, is complete shit.
Yeah,
It's
well
a
said.
piece of paper with a royal's face on it, and the royals aren't even real. You got a fake person on fake paper that has fake value, and you're going to do something for it to, like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's the
No.
biggest psyop ever. I'm like, gold has value because we say it has value. Gold has had value for thousands of years. It's always been the underpinning of every new financial system.
That is true.
The US dollar was backed by gold. That's why it became the currency, the reserve currency, because the US had the most gold and the biggest military. Ray Dalio does this so well. He goes back like 600-700 years and talks about all the different reserve currencies over those years, and how every single one follows the exact same rise and fall structure.
Of course.
And the U.S. is in like stage 6 or 7. Like, he's like, it's the next one's coming now. I don't think it's going to be like a Chinese yuan or a Russian ruble or whatever. I think reserve currency is actually going to be just an international dollar, probably like the IMF controls the International Monetary Fund, or maybe the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, one of these NGO organizations, non-government organization, that basically they're the ones that control monetary policy globally. So I think we'll probably end up using one of their currencies for international trade. But you're still going to use Aussie dollars, and I'm still going to use Canadian dollars, and people are still going to use US dollars, but it's going to be a different version of what we're using right now. I think gold's going to come back, and it's going to be the underpinning trust layer, because no one trusts the dollars anymore.
No.
4% inflation every year minimum. They just print it whenever the hell they want. They just change pricings on stuff or change taxation. There's nothing holding value in that paper dollar anymore since they left the gold standard in the 70s. So it's like, to complain about the idea of using a cryptocurrency that will have as much value as you or I decide it has, as opposed to a paper currency that has no underpinning value whatsoever, and the only reason it has value is because the government threatens us with its value. Like, that's why I feel like there's this cognitive dissonance. People need to break free of the idea that paper currency is money. It's not just currency; it's paper. I went to Venezuela in 2007. I had an awesome time. I was there for a couple of weeks, and the bolivar was, if I gave them US dollars, I could get 3,400 bolivars from the bank. But if I traded it on the street, I could get up to 5,800 bolivars. And if I gave them $100 bills, I could get 6,500 bolivars per dollar. Because there was so much counterfeit money floating around. It looked the exact same. They didn't care. Nobody cares. Go to Venezuela now. The dumps are full of Venezuelan bolivars. It costs trillions of bolivars to buy a loaf of bread now. It's just like Zimbabwe. It's like nobody uses the currency because it got blown out and governments just keep printing it away. We'll go back to the beginning. Yep. If you're saving in dollars, like Kiyosaki says, you are losing because the government just continually prints that money. And at any minute, literally any minute, they could just say, we're not using this currency anymore at all. We're actually going to use this currency. You've got 1 month to trade in this currency, but we're only giving you 10 cents on the dollar. And you've been saving your whole life.
Yep.
You're saving your whole life, and it's like, it's worth nothing. And that's obviously an extreme case, but it does happen, and it happens often. It just hasn't happened in Australia or USA or Canada yet. And I say yet because I do feel like there's a day coming.
I do too.
Where they're going to have a gold-backed currency of some sort, and they're going to be like, you have so many days or so many months to turn in your old currency, but we're only giving you 30 cents or 40 cents on the dollar because the new one has actual value and it's recognized globally. You can use that Aussie one if you want, but it's only good in Australia, and you're only going to get 30 cents on the dollar for it. Like, we're not going to, but I'm telling you, those days are coming. So it's like the opportunity to take your dollars and turn them into something real, grow in value, will maintain value, or potentially skyrocket in value if we get a new system. It's like, whoa, man, I would way rather take that bet and have my savings sitting in that. But yeah, there's, that was obviously a really long tangent about
No, I love it.
crypto and how the financial system kind of works or doesn't work, I should say.
People
But yeah,
need to know.
they really need to change their views on
Yep.
how the system works. Like it's just it doesn't work how people
No.
think it works.
And
It
people
really
need,
doesn't.
you're right, people need to know this stuff too. And, from that tangent, which is awesome, I've just got some things I was writing down here. So, you know, people on some level know how corrupt that this is too. Like there's the corruption going on, that it's people say it's tracked and traced, but the ones that are actually trying to track and trace it, their stuff's not tracked and traced at all. So it's like we know what sort of goes on underground, underneath, if you're aware of what's really going on here.
Mhm.
With this new system, will people like that be able to still do those things? The nefarious things that's been going on here. Like the track and trace thing. What do you see happening there?
Yeah. So I mean,
For them
when
and
it
for
comes,
us.
yeah. So let's say we go into a full blockchain technology, world, and money's running on ledgers, and we're using some sort of cryptocurrency, or we're using CBDCs, programmable CBDCs. Was worst case scenario, we're using the retail programmable CBDCs. I think we're going to have two very different systems, two very
Us.
distinct systems. So, we can have, and again, cryptocurrency allows for transparency, and you can't double spend, you cannot sell something that doesn't exist, you can't buy something that doesn't. It gets rid of all of the fraud that happens in the financial system right now. But with that, banks like fraud, governments like fraud,
Mm-hmm.
people like fraud. This is how they make money. So I think, if we went that system, they would just have what's called walled gardens, which is essentially they're running on the same chain that we would be using our currency on, but there's certain parameters built into the code that it's like, oh, they're still able to do some kind of like wishy-washy trading off on the side. That's probably what would happen if we went that route. But again, okay, I'll give an example. Zimbabwe in 2021.
They did.
They're like 98% cash, and it's all like small little, people are walking miles to go to a city that has a bank machine. They take cash out and they walk miles back, or they take bike back, wherever they travel. In 2021, they rolled out a CBDC,
Mm-hmm.
but it was voluntary, and they rolled it out, and they still had all the cash, but they're trying to get people. Oh, it's convenience for the people who live in these small towns. They can just tap and pay and all this stuff. After 6 months, the uptake was 0.6%
Wow.
on the CBDC. So less than 1% of people were using this CBDC. 6 months goes by, the government's like, okay, we want people to use the CBDC. Okay, what we're going to, everyone has to bring in their old dollars because there's too much counterfeit money floating around now. We printed new dollars. We're going to give you new dollars instead, one for one, no problem, but it's going to be completely new currency. Get 3 months to bring in all your money, and after that, the old currencies were zero. And people went to the banks, brought their cash in, whatever, put their cash in the bank. And the government honored them and gave them a one-to-one on their bank accounts with new currency. But they only printed a third as much currency. So at the time you were able to take out, I think it was $500 a week. They dropped it to 50 because there wasn't
Huh.
enough cash
Yeah.
floating around to try and force people into the CBDC adoption. So when they did that, the CBDC adoption stayed at 0.6%. But people started selling their Zimbabwe dollars and started buying gold because they could see the government was going down a slippery slope really fast. So all the people started buying gold. 6 months went by. I think adoption got to about 1.5% on the CBDC. They canceled all dollars. Went 100% CBDC. Within 6 months, people were burning down the banks, burning down the government buildings, burning down, hanging people in the streets. They got rid of the CBDC 100%. We're back to cash. So the people had enough. The people were able to say, like, no, we're not doing this, and
Yeah.
we're actually going to hold you personally accountable. So then, this is what people need to understand: the government is just people.
Yes.
It's not this all-seeing evil entity. They're just people that go to work and they're clicking computers and they're just like moving their mouse around. Like I hope no one sees them doing nothing all day. Like they're just people who go to
Yeah.
work. It's not, so it's like they're not willing to risk their lives to push mandates that for that kind of stuff. Because in the end, it's like when I go home, if they know I work for the government, like maybe they're going to come to my house next. Like it's just people have all the power in the end.
That's
And
exactly right.
once people realize that we actually have the power, and I'm not saying I'm, trying to like get people riled up for any type of insurrection or anything like that. It's like follow your laws, people. But it's like ultimately when the governments become too tyrannical or too oppressive or too authoritarian, ultimately it's people to decide if they're going to let that happen or not. And with financial structures, we already live in that kind of world.
Mm.
But because we're able to go to the grocery store and have no issues, or buy gas and have no issues, right now, no one's really saying much. But if you go to the gas pump one day and you went to use money, and it's like, no, you've already had too much gas this week, and your wallet's not working, are you going to stop driving or are you going to get pissed off?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some people like, okay, I guess I'll just drive less. But there's some people like, forget that. No, man, what the hell? Like, I want to be able to drive as much as I want to drive, and I should be able to eat as much red meat as I want to eat. Like, there's always going to be that kind of pushback. So I feel like whenever there's enough pushback, they always step back.
That is true.
And that's the only reason COVID disappeared when it did, because around the world, people are like, forget this, enough is enough.
Yep.
And then they're like, oh, look, it's everything's all better now because they're about to lose control, right? So it's like
Correct.
the illusion of control is there. Um,
Yep.
and ultimately, it's like if people just understand that you're being manipulated through the currencies, you're being manipulated through the media, you're being manipulated through what you eat and the water you drink and all these things, right? Like it's like you've been being bombarded all the time. Take a
Yep.
second, step out of one of those areas, and then eventually, like you start to see all the manipulation across the board, and then you just voluntarily take yourself out of it. And when enough people voluntarily pull themselves out of these systems, it's like the whole system starts to kind of drift away.
Yep.
Yeah, so you got to start.
Agreed.
You got number one, you got to take care of your health. Before you can ever take care of your financial health, you have to take care of your physical health. Because
Well said.
if you're always messed up and high on caffeine and drinking and boozing and eating junk food, like your system is constantly just trying to fight off what you're putting in it. You'll never be able to successfully navigate the financial system. It's not going to happen. So it's like
Hmm.
you clean up, clean up your body, then eventually your thoughts get cleaned up, and then you start to see things really clear. And it's like, okay, I can actually I can do this. I can manage this and that. And you cut out junk food, you cut out drinking, you cut out smoking. Man, you suddenly have like $500 a month just lying around to invest anyways.
That
So it's
is
like,
true.
yeah. So it's just like, man, I'm actually way richer than I thought anyways, and off you go. But
Yep. Well said. And you also mentioned with the Zimbabwean things, I want to circle back. You said 2021, didn't you? Because that
yeah,
was all happening while the C COVID stuff was happening. So it's like people were so worried about what was going on with all the bullshit that
yep.
they didn't realize what the Zimbabwean people had just done.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly, and these governments take advantage of these situations. Like, never let a
Correct.
crisis go to waste, right? So it's like we have an opportunity, and if you actually study, like, COVID is like the perfect psyop because people are segregated to their little systems, and it's like CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation here, is only going to put the news up that they want to show. And the vast majority of people aren't going to start researching the internet to try and find alternate news outlets. They just believe whatever's coming off their TV. And the same thing if you're living in Argentina, or the same thing you're living in. So it's like it'd be very easy to just shut people in, shut people down, because everyone's afraid of what's happening somewhere else. But it's like, and when these things happen, it's like the governments take a lot of liberties, and that was one of those ones in Zimbabwe. They were trying to take some liberties, and it just backfired on them really rapidly. But you didn't hear about it in the news because they're not like, oh, the Zimbabwe people are burning banks and this and that. It's like, well, why would they say that? Because then people start asking questions. Well, why were they burning banks? Why were they, you know,
Yeah.
like even I talked to people about what's happening in Nepal a couple months ago,
Yep.
and almost nobody knows about that. Now I thought it was like huge news. Like, I don't
So did
follow
I.
the news. I don't follow the news. Like I'm always on like Twitter and stuff. Like, and I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, what? I'm like, Nepal? They like overthrew the government?
Yeah.
They're like,
No one
like,
spoke about it.
yeah, nobody knows. And I'm like, that's crazy. They're like, well, what happened? And it was basically my argument about internet. They're like, what if they shut off the internet? Then your crypto goes to zero. I'm like, they're not shutting off the internet. Like, number one, that's how they control everybody, is through the internet. Like, they're shutting that off. People are just too addicted. I'm like, look what happened in Nepal. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh. I'm like, well, kids couldn't be on social media anymore. And like that lasted like a week, and people like burnt down the parliament buildings and overthrew the government. Like 16-year-olds did that. They're like, what? I'm like, oh yeah. So I'm like, it doesn't. Like, come on. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, the governments take liberties when they feel like people are like, kind of, well, first of all, in fear, and huddled in. And I feel like, going way back too, it's like talking about COVID. There are people still living in that fear.
There are.
Six years of their life has gone by,
Yep.
and they just been huddled in fear, like, oh, the government's gonna come get me, or a virus is gonna come get me, or whatever. Like on both sides, like truthers and the COVIDiots. It's like, they're both like 6 years of their lives have gone by, and they've just been living in fear, not. And I'm like, that's the whole point. They want you stagnant, not thinking, not doing, just reacting. And it's like,
Yeah, and still
guys,
talking about things that are 6 years done.
yeah,
Yeah.
like you gotta. That's what I'm saying. Like people have
Move
to like
forward.
move forward, and like the easiest way to move forward is if you clean up your life. Like you declutter how your body processes things.
Yeah.
Immediately you're gonna think so much clearer. You see through the psyop, like it's a joke now. Anything happens, I'm like, psyop, and then it's like you just like I can't even watch TV. I haven't watched TV in Jesus, it's got to be almost 20 years now. But it's
Wow.
like, yeah, I haven't had a TV in so many years. But because people are like, oh, you ever see the show? I'm like, if it wasn't before 2007, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Like, I haven't seen a TV show in like almost 20 years. But even
That's
movies, like
unreal.
I don't watch movies because I
Nah.
always try to watch movies and I'm like, that all I see is the propaganda
Yeah,
and
not the only one.
the
Yeah.
hidden stuff, and I just can't. They're unenjoyable for
Yeah.
me now.
People
So it's
can't.
like,
People with me, mate. Well, it's the same thing. Like they'll watch. Like I watched a couple of stuff, and I just pull it apart, and people are like, I can't watch a movie with you. I'm like,
oh
well,
yeah, same with me. I'm
it's
the
not that hard to fucking see it, and I'm just gonna
no.
call it out. And yeah, it's
Yeah,
yeah. I'm
I'm the least fun person to watch a movie with. Like I'm just
100%
like,
or TV show. Like I'll go fucking that's already happened. That's predictive programming right there. That's already fucking
yeah,
happened. It's like
yeah.
yeah, people are like I
And
can't watch it with you.
although I do enjoy going back and watching old programs and looking for the programming and the predictable program,
The
like, oh my god,
Simpsons
that's yeah, Simpsons. But even
is the
stuff in like
best.
the 60s and the 70s, they
Yeah,
had
right.
tons of stuff about 9/11 back then. You're like, oh my god, like they were probing people, getting people prepped for that
Yeah.
30 years before it happened. I'm like, that's crazy. Which makes me think like, how much is just in my, sitting back there in my noggin that
Yeah.
I don't even realize has been put in there
Yep.
from the 30 years of just watching TV and doing whatever. I'm like,
Mm.
oh my god, it's just,
Yeah. I got a couple other questions for you before we
yeah,
wrap it
you
up.
hit
So I've
me
just been
absolutely.
writing stuff down. So a lot of the people in the truther space, awaken space, are talking about. I think I asked you last time, which was 2 years ago, but we'll refresh it. Like the QFS, like people are saying there's a
Yeah,
quantum financial system coming in. Like, what's the go with that? Like, is that a
I think
probability?
I think that's all just BS. I
I
mean,
thought so.
ultimately, like, yeah, it's like people like, oh, there's going to be no Sarah, just Sarah. I think that's what they call it or whatever. Like,
Yes. Yep.
debt restructuring and all this crap. I'm like, I think there's going to be debt restructuring, but it's going to be sovereign debt. I think the U.S. dollar, Federal Reserve note's going to disappear. China's not going to owe anybody any money, and U.S. is not going to owe anybody any money, and that stuff. But you're still going to have a mortgage, and I'm still going to have a car payment. Like they're not wiping our debt. It's clear. And the quantitative or the quantum financial systems and all that stuff. It's all along those lines. It's like some sort of like money owed to me from stuff that was stolen for 30, 40 years, and I'm going to get all this money back. It's like, number one, cash is not money.
Yeah.
It's just currency. If everyone's, and this is part of the quantum stuff, I don't know if you went down that all the way down that road, but it's like, everyone's going to get like $1.2 million or some
That's
crazy amount of
what
money.
they say. Yeah.
If everybody got $1.2 million tomorrow,
Here we go.
houses would be $47 million and cars would be $6.7 million and a loaf of bread would be $16,000. And like, that's how you absorb the money. Like it's, it drives me bananas actually when I see that stuff and I hear
Yeah.
this. I'm like,
Makes sense.
though that, and again, in a perfect world, I would love to just suddenly receive a huge chunk of cash. But if everybody receives the same chunk of cash, then there's just that much money everywhere. So people are going to just want more for the things that they have. It's just works out to be the exact same. Like
Yeah, it's true.
no one thinks
Well
about that
said.
stuff.
No.
That's what inflation is. Like it's
Yeah.
just so
Well
whenever
said.
people are like, yeah, that's all it is. I mean,
Yeah.
and ultimately, it's like it's like waiting to win the lottery. Okay, you can wait
Yeah.
for this QF system to kick in and give you $1 million or $3 million, whatever it is, and wipe all your debts clear. It's like, okay, but you still have this depreciating dollar that everyone has the exact same amount of. You still have $0. Someone's like, I'm going to give you $1 million. I'm going to give you a house, and I'm going to give you a car, and I'm going to give you like tangible things that now are mine to own. I'd be like, sweet, I don't have to pay for this thing anymore. That'd be pretty sweet. I don't want friggin' money. Like, I take much money out of my bank account as I can all the time. I keep my bank account at the bare minimum. I could give a crap what the zeros say on my bank account. Like, I keep a year's salary or a year's expenses essentially is all I keep in my bank or in like in dollars, because everything above that is just wasted money. It's just losing value all the time. I want
Fair.
tangible assets that are going to retain value at a bare minimum, but hopefully go up in value. Like going back to the metals is real money. Metals is a savings account, right? So I won't go rambling here. So we'll go.
No,
Hit
no,
me with
no. It just opened up my mind a bit too, because a lot of people talk about like the wealth transfer and stuff. But I like what you did there was put it so good that it was like, well, yeah, this shit will just go up and up and up if you give the people back the wealth that they've stolen.
Yeah.
then yeah, you're right. 16 grand for a loaf of bread. It's so true
Yeah,
because
yeah.
people still
You have to
need
absorb.
that loaf of
You
bread.
have to absorb the money. You have to absorb the money, right?
Yeah,
If I all of a
that's
sudden got $3 million, why am I going to work tomorrow? Like it's just, you know what I mean? Like it's just things like that. Like people need to think about the realism of what they're saying.
correct, and
But
it's
ultimately, it's like, the wealth transfer stuff.
that's where I was going.
We're in a wealth transfer system.
We are.
They've been stealing your wealth for the last 120 years. That's the whole point, right? And it's like they're going to suddenly flush all that back to you. It's like you don't want the money. The money isn't worth anything, or the cash. It's like they bought tangible assets over all those years. That's why they own islands and they own mega mansions and super yachts and 50 planes. It's like who the hell wants cash? Like I don't want cash. If there was actually a wealth transfer system, like you get to pick a mansion and this and that, I'm like, oh, okay, that's sweet, perfect, yeah, okay, great. Like I want the 100-acre farm with the this and that. Like yeah, I have a wish list for sure, but they're like, we're gonna give you money. I'm like, no, thank you. I'll take a tangible asset instead. Because the money just gets inflated away. That's basically all it is.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, QFS, wealth transfer stuff, never gonna happen,
No.
in my opinion. I could be so wrong, and I wake up tomorrow and all of a sudden my bank account's got a bunch of money in it. But yeah, no.
No, I just sort of asked because a lot of people will, yeah, I'll get asked these questions. So I had a couple.
Yeah, and again, I think that's just part of the psyops where people get programmed to just sit back and wait
That's so true.
and not
Sit on your hands.
not act.
Yeah.
And just not act, right? So it's like
It's the same thing with the Trump stuff. People are saying Trump's going to drain the swamp and do all these things, waiting for a political savior. It's the same game, just in the money sense.
Exactly, but yeah, like okay, let's say he legitimately quote unquote drains the swamp. What does that mean to you? Are you hanging the politicians that stole stuff? What?
Yeah.
At what point do you feel satisfied that he's done the job that you want to be done? Do you take all the money back that they stole? All their families go broke? Like they have to go dig ditches for the next 25 years to pay back to society? Like where does it? Or do they just say, oh yeah, they stole, so he's not a prime minister anymore? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yep.
just, it's all sit back and wait for someone to fix something for you.
Yeah.
It's like, that'd be great if that all happens, but in the meantime, I'm going to friggin' chug along and try and make as much wealth as I can make and try and get as much put into assets that are going to go up in value as I can. If this happens, awesome. That's just bonus. But in the meantime, it's like, I'm just going to focus on my life here and making it better, more secure, and trying to navigate all the crap that might be coming in a real sense. Like, war in Iran. It's like, well, I don't live in Iran. I could care less. It sucks for the people in Iran. If they get bombed and all these people die. Yeah, that sucks. Like, that's war. But I'm not Iranian. I don't live in Iran. Right? Now, if someone starts bombing Canada and they're bombing my area of Canada, yeah, I'm going to be like, okay, let's get our stuff and let's start organizing and doing our thing. But I'm not going to spend my time worrying about what's happening in Iran or Venezuela or Nigeria or any other spot. If it's not happening in Cornwall, Ontario, Canada, it doesn't affect me right now. So it's like, okay, like I'm not saying that in a careless way or in a like I don't care empathetic way. Like I very much, war is bad and all these things are bad, but bad things happen all the time. And it's like you're one person and you have a circle of people you care about and you have an opportunity to make your life and the people around you lives better. If I can do that, and then they can do that, and then they can do that, and then they can do that. But if I'm freaking worrying about what's happening on the other side of the world, like that's not helping this at all. Like that's attention. You know what I mean? Like everything is just a psyop and a distraction. It's just to keep you sitting on your hands, waiting or worrying or whatever. It's like, no, you gotta act. Like you don't want to react. You just want to just to be acting. Like that's
the art of detachment, right there. You're not giving your energy
for the most part.
anything to that story or whatever that is. It's like, no, I'm going to build my life here.
And that's the only reason COVID disappeared, is people stopped feeding it. The average person's like, forget that, man. I'm just going to walk in the store no matter. And enough people did that. And they're like, oh, it magically disappeared. It's like, no, because they stopped giving it energy, stopped giving it attention. It disappears, right? So,
good piece of advice. This whole podcast has been. All right, a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. So,
yeah, absolutely, man.
The truthers again will say, when the financial system becomes online, and they talk about the social credit and all the things, Pete, that they all say it. You're going to wake up one morning and you're going to be locked out of all this stuff because you've said X, Y, Z about fucking Trump, whoever it is. Is that just the opposite wing of the exact same bird we just spoke about?
Well, so this is why I have tangible
assets.
physical metals in my possession.
Yep.
Because yes, there very well may become a time like look what happens in England. Like England
Yep.
has the most arrests in the world for internet than anywhere else. Like
Yep.
it's insane, right? So yes, they will try hard to do these things. And I always joke like in my calls with my group and stuff. I'm like, yeah, like why you go in metals? I'm like, I go in metals because in case one day I say something mean on Twitter and I'm locked in my bank account for 3 weeks or a month or longer. Who knows, right? So I'm like, it's one click of a button at the bank, and I have zero access to all my funds, right? So
That's
it's like
true.
I want to have stuff out of the banking system. So it's like, okay, I'd be kicked out for whatever reason. At least I know I can barter with what I have, or I can go get cash for what I have, or I can still navigate. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't. I mean, would they go that route? They could. China goes that route. That's what you know.
Yeah.
I think there's like 3 million homeless youth in China because they're on the blacklist. They're sleeping on the streets. And if I help them and I'm Chinese, then I'm on the blacklist now too, right? So it's like it is like the potentiality of that really hardcore tyrannical system is already in place in some countries. It's being test piloted basically.
Hmm.
The thing with China, Japan, India, these are heavily colonized countries that have a caste system built into them, right? For hundreds and hundreds of years. So the people just, that's how they think.
Yep.
They don't think like that in the UK. They don't think like that in Australia. They don't think like that's not part of the culture, right? So it's like to really force that here, could it happen? Yes. But you have to do a lot before you can get to that stage.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, you have to disarm everybody. That's number one.
Mm.
And then you also have to pit everybody against everybody else.
Which they've done here in Australia in the last 30
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, they're trying hard here. They're trying
Yeah.
hard here as well.
Yeah.
It's not going as well as they planned,
I
which
think
is
so
great to
here
see.
too. Yep.
Um, but yeah, so I mean, they're still. I always say that to everybody too. I'm like, if you're in a country that sells guns, you're probably going to be okay for a while. It's the people with no guns. It's like, yeah, they're just going to get steamrolled until people like show up with, picks and forks and flaming torches. Like literally. So yeah, I do believe that system could come into place, but we're like in Canada, we're already there. The banks already have full legal right to freeze your account for any reason
Same here in
whatsoever.
Australia as well.
Yeah, any
Yep.
reason whatsoever, right?
Yep.
So yeah,
And
so
we've
I'm
just
like,
brought in some hate speech laws, which are very similar to what we were talking about before with speaking out against different things. You get
oh yeah,
thrown. Yeah, so they've
oh
already
yeah,
brought
yep,
that in here. While people were actually, they brought this in while people were distracted by the Bondi thing that happened in
exactly,
Sydney. So they brought that in while
always,
that was going on.
yep,
Yeah.
always, yep.
Yep.
Anytime they pass a big bill that has anything to do with any event that happened, I can guarantee you there's so much tyrannical code written in that law. You're like, it's not never going to be good for you. But they try to rush those things through as fast as they can. Yeah, it's
100%.
unfortunate. But again, it's just words on paper.
Yep. That's
Like
exactly right.
still, people still need to enforce it, and I also feel like that's why UK and France and Australia and Canada, they're pushing so hard to have so many immigrants that are so different than the local population, because then they'll enforce the laws on the local population.
Yep.
That's my little conspiracy part there, I'll say. But
I
I believe
agree
that.
with that part. I'm
Yeah,
with you on
I
there.
very much believe that. Yeah.
Yep.
So could they go that route? They already are in. They're already there. So
Yeah.
it's just a matter of, it's just not like widespread where it's like, oh, I said whatever, on the internet and it got froze instantly because it's on the blockchain and I'm instantly connected to this thing. So it's monitored 24/7, 360. Like what I mean. We're not at that stage yet. Will we ever be? Maybe. I'm hoping not, but I'm
Yeah.
preparing for that.
Yeah.
That's why I get my medals and all my, that's
Same.
why it's build community, you build your community and you get all that stuff. Like you need your network of people. So when silly
it.
things like that happen, you're like, okay, I guess I'm going plan B now, because
Yep.
who knows how long they're going to keep me out of this for whatever happens to me,
Exactly.
right?
And
So,
that's good advice too, to sum all this up, I think I've covered everything. To sum all this up, if someone's listening, watching right now and they want to start hedging their bets and start taking care of themselves on a financial level,
mhm.
what would be your advice to that person to sort of take that first step? And I think I know what you're going to say, but let's go.
Well, I mean, ultimately, you just need to start researching.
Yeah.
And realizing that the traditional financial system is designed as a system of control, a system of perception. Uh, you know, um, I have older clients that are very wealthy, and I try to tell them like if you zoomed out on the stock market 100 years, zero growth, all inflationary based, zero growth. Stock market's at all time high. Yeah, because money printing is at all time high. Like it's 100% correlates with how much money they print. Everything we know about finances in this world that we're taught is all BS, all of it.
100%.
So it's like just change your thinking on what money is and change your thinking on how money works and the control it has over you too.
Yes. It's a big
I
one.
ran my own business with my wife. We had a fitness club for a while, and I grew up super poor, so it was like I was really tight with my money. I was always like, no, I got to make sure like we have this, and as soon as I broke the thinking when we owned that business, and I was like, no, we need our money to make us money, and we need to use it like it's currency because if it moves, it's liquid, and money was flowing in like it was a ridiculous, and it was just a mental change in how I looked at the money.
It's the
And it just
mental shift, isn't it? That's the biggest one.
yeah, absolutely. It's like
Yeah.
it's not money doesn't grow on trees. Yes, it does. It's paper.
Money's the root of all evil. Money's the root of all evil.
Money's the roof. Yeah, all these things, right? It's like no, money is what makes the world go round. Like, sorry, like we live in a money world. We live in a physical world. Like,
It's so true.
use the money to your best advantage, and then like you'll be okay with it. But yeah, it's just like breaking the programming, and hopefully the younger the younger generations don't have the same like. I don't think they do. At least the ones I talk to, they don't have the same like grip on money like my generation does, where it's like we were raised by boomers where it's like, oh yeah, money's it's everything, and you're like,
Yeah.
not really. It's like, yeah, you don't want to be frivolous with it, but
I agree.
just yeah,
Awesome podcast.
Currency's not money. Let's
Awesome
leave it at that.
conversation. Awesome podcast, man. If someone's new, which been a lot of new people new to my stuff in the last couple of years, where can people best find you, mate?
Yeah, I
To
mean, I'm on
have a chat to
Facebook.
you, follow you, chat to you, even book you for
Yeah,
your services. Where can they find you, man?
yeah. So I'm on Facebook. It's just Emery Robichaud. I put
Yep.
tons and tons of content on there. I'm always posting on there
Yes, you do.
different financial stuff. I have a free community on Facebook as well. It's called the Crypto Insights Community. We
Good
just talk
community.
financials
I'm
on
in that
there.
community. Just
Yep.
sorry to cut you off, but I'm in that
Oh no.
community. It's an awesome community. So I'm actually in there for those that jump on board. I'll put all links in the bottom.
Yeah, and it's for anybody who just want to learn, ask a question. Like it's great, and it's
Yeah.
finally starting to take a life of its own. Like other people are answering questions on there too, so it's nice. Yeah, go on my website cryptoinsights.pro.
Yep.
I do one-on-one consults, coaching. I have programs on there about cryptocurrency. I have programs on there about finances. I'm actually running a new program. Starts March the 2nd. It's called the Great Reset Cheat Code. So I'm talking
Ooh.
about like how to invest, how the financial system works, how it doesn't work, all the how to basically secure your wealth moving forward. Yeah, so that's coming up. Pretty excited
Yep.
about that one. Yeah.
And people can sign up to your newsletter as well through the website.
Yeah, of
You
course. Yeah,
mentioned
I do
newsletter
a
earlier.
weekly. Yeah, I do a weekly. I call it a newsletter, but it's really a report. It's like 9 pages of it's super in depth,
Yep.
everything that's happening in the world and how you can kind of like navigate it. Again, it's everything I do is trying to simplify the complexities of the financial system, and it's
I
like
love it.
this is kind of how the story's being played out on the news. But if you just do this, you should be okay, right? So. That's what I do all the time.
Yep.
That's my full-time gig is just trying to explain the financial system.
I love it,
essentially.
mate. You're a wealth of knowledge. You're an awesome person, and so grateful I met you just through your beautiful wife and Jason. And yeah, an awesome guy. And for anyone listening and watching right now, Emery will be back on a lot. So yeah, get used
So,
to
no, great.
that. And I'll
Yeah.
talk to you guys all again soon. Thank you for listening and watching wherever in the world you are. Thank you to Emery's
Thank
people
you.
that follow him as well that have jumped on board and listened to this chat too. So thank you for everyone out there listening and watching, and just those little mental shifts. And I hope Emery has helped you shift some stuff with money mentally today, because that's where it starts. So Emery, thank you again, mate. Really appreciate your time and your insights today. So everyone out there, thank you very much. Cheers.